today, though, on Mr. Wayne Ward, of
All
Pioneer
right.
Athletics. I think, what is it? Almost 2 years now that you've been on the dark side?
Yeah, 25 months now, just a little bit over 2 years. And yeah, it's been a roller coaster for me of changing gears and moving in a different direction. And it's been awesome. It's just exciting.
And I think every time I've seen you, you've said something along the lines like, I should probably update my LinkedIn or I should probably let people know. Like, I'm sure once people have seen you in the flesh, you've been able to tell them. But for all the people out there that maybe knew you were in Tampa Bay and you fell off the face of the earth and they have no idea where Wayne Ward is, this is the official update that everyone's been waiting for.
Yeah, it is. I need to let everybody know that everybody still thinks I'm retired, I think, on the backside, unless they've personally spoke with me or not. I haven't, made a lot of news of it. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what my role is. I know I'm the racetrack division manager, and I know I've got that, but I feel like I've got some other opportunities and roles to fill, and maybe it's a multi-purpose kind of position.
Definitely. Well, let's take it all the way back to the beginning to start. That's where the real story is about your turf origin story and how this career even, came on your radar, became an option. And Chris and I know the story a little bit because you were one of our pioneers in the field. And
Right,
so we got
right.
that exclusive story a couple years back. And it's weird, but I think is it just two people? It's Weston and Wayne, right? Who were
Correct. Yeah.
pioneers in the field, and then through the magic of meeting me and having this wonderful experience with someone at Pioneer, they decided to come work here. It definitely was nobody else in the building or anything like
This is what she
that.
does, Wayne. She makes it all about her.
Always
Right.
find
And
a
it
way. It's a talent.
and it has nothing to do with the dinner and drinks that follow up one of those interviews that where you get the phone call afterwards for the job interview. Like, how could you say no to that place?
Exactly. So yeah, take us back to the beginning. You turf was on your radar like right out of high school, correct?
It was something that was important to me, and it was something that I really enjoyed. I seen the need for it, but ultimately I wanted to be an agriculture teacher. So that was that when things started, I was going to be an ag teacher, and I spent a summer at the old Tampa Stadium. And I noticed right away that there was a niche there. There was something I could do while still growing stuff, but staying close to sports. So yeah, it was a long summer spent there, and I found out that I could get paid overtime to watch football on Sundays. So it was a no brainer for me to give up teaching and head to the NFL.
I love that. And were you an athlete growing up? Like that was, a love for sports as a player, or were you like on the spectator side where your love for sports came through, being a fan of teams and things like that?
Oh no, I was involved in any kind of sport we could do. Being one of three boys, whether that's all our life was baseball and football and whatever other sport you could think of or come up with. So, played high school football, played junior high football, but just wasn't physically gifted enough to pursue that sport any longer. So I knew it was over with, and this was a way for me to stay close to sports and still be involved with it. And 30 years later, I found out, how important it was.
So cool. And so how did you start with, because you had your entire career with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and at one point you guys were at Raymond James Stadium, and before that it was the old stadium, but you were really with that organization the whole time, correct?
Correct. For 30 years, I pretty much, other than the 4 years at the beginning of the new stadium, I parked in the same parking spot for the last 26 years, so it was definitely a hard place. It's even hard to drive by the stadium now. I'm a season ticket holder, and it's hard to go by without knowing that I grew up there.
Mm-hmm.
How old were
Definitely.
you when you started there, Wayne?
I was 22.
Okay.
That's
You're a
Yeah,
wild.
baby.
I was a baby. Yeah. Yeah, thinking back, it seems like yesterday, and then sometimes it seems like forever ago. So it's a mixed bag of which way to go with that.
And I think for sure when you are with a place for so long, they, experience you growing up, you evolving as a professional, but then also, you got married during that time, you had all your kids during that time. Like it's really that blend of your life being a part of, in that organization. And so many of the pivotal things that were happening outside of the job too, I'm sure are associated with that place and the memories.
So many memories associated with that. My kids grew up going to ball games. Their first jobs were parking cars at the stadium.
Yeah.
Pictures of them as little kids when they were cheerleaders and, pee wee cheerleaders and football players and playing games there. And now fast forward, my grandson, I have pictures of him, at the stadium riding monster trucks around and stuff like that. So yeah, it was definitely part of our life. The stadium was just part of our life. Other than the fact I spent 70 hours a week there. So they knew where their dad was at all the time.
Definitely.
So
So yeah,
if they wanted to see me, they had to come to the stadium.
I love that. And I mean, that also is just a great segue to acknowledge the MVP of any groundskeeping organization, which is the partner in the situation, your wife, Lisa, who held down the fort for all those hours.
Oh, yeah, she hasn't cooked a dinner since I retired. I owe her a bunch of dinners and a bunch of nights, so I spent the last couple years, making dinner.
I
Well,
love that.
now that she spent all this time with you, does she still like you?
She does ask me every once in a while if I need to go on a trip or if, if there's something else I should be doing,
That's a
I
major
think I drive
change.
her. I think I drive her crazy with that. And, part of that's an adjustment for me as well. 70 hours a week and stadium life for me was 150 miles an hour, nonstop all the time. I was never in the moment. I was in 3 days ahead is where my brain was always thinking. So, um, that's been an adjustment for me as well to learn to slow down a little bit. And, I don't have to run to everything I do. I can walk to it and get the same effect. So, still learning as an old man.
And so what were those things like, definitely the agriculture tie-in is what attracted you to the position at first, but what were the things that kept you for 30 years? Like what were the elements of the job that would refuel you or at the new season it would be like, "Oh, I'm excited to have all of these things happen." Like what were those elements that kept you coming back day in and day out?
More and more, I think it was the challenge. Every year, it got a little harder. They throw
Mhm.
another concert at you. They were going to add another team. They're going to do something else. It was the constant challenge that probably provoked me in that way. And then I kept having children, so I had no choice but to stay at work and do what I needed to do. I did have some opportunities to leave there, but it was something that I started and something that I enjoyed, and I had, familiarity with it. And I loved being a source of knowledge for the new people that would come into the building and stuff like that. So the more and more you grow into a building, the more and more the building wants to hold on to you.
Definitely.
It's just a natural thing that happens there.
And you have 4 children, correct?
Four, yes.
Yep, so that kept you had to clock in no matter what.
I had to clock it, and sometimes I'd go to work when I didn't have to when they were younger. It was a
Oh,
scream fest and everything. The terrible twos were something else, so I definitely had to spend some time at work to go through that, but I'm making up for that with dinner now.
Yep. Chris always says whenever I'm like, "Oh my gosh, these kids," he's always like, "Dude, sometimes Monday could not come soon enough when he
it's
when he
true.
when he was in the thick of it."
Oh yeah, it's tiring. Weekends were tiring. I remember that with toddlers.
Oh yeah. Oh
Just that
yeah,
constant
without
entertainment. It's definitely something else, but
the constant entertainment, the fulfillment you get from groundskeeping, you know what I mean? You're touching something living and breathing all the time, and it has a character of its own. So it's a relationship with that grass as well, and the fulfillment of watching players go out and play on it, and you know watch them kill your ultimate summer work all year long in a couple hours is something else. But I think between the challenges, the fulfillment, and being a part of being a part of the groundskeeper culture. You know what I mean? It was not what it is today. It's not these guys have it pretty and luxurious. We weren't thought of back in the day. We were just, the grumpy old guys that cut the grass.
Yeah. Well, you guys were almost probably like trauma bonded. Like you were living a a different, like you were living a warfare of a sense every day, and it's like you guys could bond over the fact that you had this shared experience. When today, we have that, like you said, the luxury of being a bit more visible. So they can relate to not only the people on their crew, but now the fans might have a bit of an idea of what it is they do, or the education side. Like there's a much deeper pool of people they can, pull from.
Oh, without a doubt. Then you've got the world is full of Monday morning groundskeepers
Mm.
and coaches. So everybody, it's easy to say after the fact, why didn't you do this or why didn't you do that? But it's hard to do that with it's easy to turn on the TV and say, man, that thing doesn't look good or whatever, but you have no idea what the situation was, what's been going on there for the last 2 weeks. They could have had a circus with elephants on it 2 days ago, and
Literally.
here we are today. So you gotta kind of take it with a grain of salt and just keep putting your best foot forward every day. And every time they try to push you back, you got to push back the other way and show, no, we can still do this. So
And how did
it's
you deal with that over the 30 years? Like, because I'm sure there were times when it any human, it would get to them. But how did you, the day to day, like just manage with people having opinions about the field, or the anxiety of the oncoming opinions, or how did you really manage the stress of the gig?
um well, there was always Budweiser. There was always Budweiser to take care of some of those things. Um, but you did your and I found myself in my younger days being defensive and wanting to
Mhm.
defend it all the time. And a lot of times what I did is try to go back at him with the same thing, and try to enlighten people and bring a lot more things to attention. So I know my family, I know my friends, everybody's aware of big rolled sod and its effect on football, and
Yeah.
all the effects that go on. If there's a question, they call me, because now I've kind of educated everybody to that. There's always something. There's a reason for everything on a football field, or it would be perfect every week. The guys that are in charge of them now, if it's not up to par, there's a reason that's out of that groundskeeper's control. I can bet on that.
Love that. And, a huge part of your Pioneers in the Field profile was the mentorship element of the industry. Not only the people that, you worked alongside, but kind of that full life cycle. You being in the industry for so long, had the ability to, be a mentor to others throughout your time. Talk a little bit about that, and just, how that is such a pivotal part of this industry.
It is, because you know that there's got other guys going through the exact same thing you're going through, even if it's not at the same time they've been through it. So to not rely on your brotherhood to reach out and do that, or not to be the guy that answers that question from a guy that calls and asks a question, because obviously they have the respect enough of you and what you're going to give them and your knowledge that they'd even ask you. So it's definitely worth to take the time and talk to them. And I pride myself on that. I won't mention any names. Matt Griner with the San Francisco 49ers is under my wing and has been for many years. And I'm proud to say that he's, one of the best in the business. And I'd like to say I had a hand in that.
I love that. And who are some of the mentors that you really played a role in shaping your career?
There's been a few of them. George Toma was definitely one of them. Alan Sigwart with the Miami Dolphins was a great source of knowledge when I was coming through. Some of the guys at the sod farms, Mark Pollock at Ben Oak Farms was one of my, mentors that I followed along the way. And, you just try to, success breeds success. And if you can copy success and build on it and make it yours, then have at it.
Definitely. And what were some of those ingredients for success? Like, what were some of the things that when you guys had a successful season, you could look back and be like, it was because, of the crew or the prep, or what were some of those ingredients that when you looked back and said, this was a successful season that you think were at play?
It's kind of a military thing for us. We never rested too much on the laurels. We always celebrated after something that, a big event where we pulled something off that we hadn't done before, or, got through a heavy rain week, or so, a storm week. We dealt with storms a lot down in Tampa. So, once you get through those, we would do that. But I think the biggest thing is we'd always focus on what we did wrong. We wanted to remember the things that we did wrong that season, why those happened, and why we wouldn't want to do those again, and try to just keep working towards those seasons. They never happened, but work towards those seasons where you don't duplicate those mistakes.
Definitely. And so one of your final seasons, it may have was it the final season when they won the Super Bowl, or did you have one more season with them?
Yeah, I had
Okay.
two more seasons. One more, it was in the 2020 was when they won the Super Bowl there. We, got
Okay.
to play a Super Bowl at my own home stadium.
So crazy. And they won, correct? They won
And
that.
they won, yeah. And my grandson, who is now a a high school quarterback and the captain of his football team, was there with my wife. So he got to go to his first Super Bowl at my stadium and see the Bucks win. So that was a special, special moment, especially after working 26 Super Bowls, 24 Super Bowls prior to that,
Oh
and
my
only having
gosh.
my team in there one time. So I really got tired of painting the New England Patriots.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's like the biggest mic drop of all time. Like you could have just closed the door on and been like, peace out. I'm done. Like that's all that needed to happen. But how cool. What an experience, not only for you, but for your family, especially coming at the end of your career to have that, moment in time for them.
It definitely was a mic drop moment for me, and it was it just happened so fast that I didn't realize it in the moment, and it took a little while for me to realize how special that is, because I started thinking back, and of all the Super Bowls I worked, there was that situation had never really occurred. We always wanted to be at home and your team would win in the Super Bowl. So yeah, it was definitely a special moment for me, and one I will not forget for sure.
So cool. And yeah, and another thing or another element of it all is Florida has that law. I think you were the first person to ever tell me about the law. Like if you work at a place for so many years, or is it just like work for like a city entity that you're able to retire? And since you started so early, you were able to retire much earlier than the average Joe, correct?
Yes, that was the other thing from working in Tampa and working with the state system there. After 30 years, I was allowed to retire with 100% benefits. So, um,
Wild.
right there after 30 years of service and 70 hours a week, I decided it was time for me to slow down a little bit and concentrate my efforts, more towards helping people out and doing that. And lo and behold, I retired, and 5 days later, I became a Pioneer employee. We're back to those 4 kids and money again.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, it only seems fitting. I don't think anybody who works at that rate for that long, if you were to just like stop and cut off, I think something would combust. Like I don't think it would be natural just to completely have like a dead end and stop doing the job, especially when it's so ingrained in who you are.
Oh, 100%. I knew I wasn't going to retire. And my grandfather, he used to always tell me he wanted to be a triple dipper. He had retired from the military, and then he retired from the post office. So he had both his retirements and his Social Security. And he said, that's how you're winning, son. That's how you're winning if you can triple dip. And I found myself in his situation. So I'm hoping Pioneer will have me long enough to have a second retirement.
I love it. I
That's
love
why we
But
it.
actually have you on here. We want to talk to you about that.
It's time to
Dane,
step
should I
down.
take this shirt off now?
no, off the camera, please. I'm doing the math, and I admittedly am not a math person, but 30 years at 70 plus hours, that's like 55 years of work.
Okay, so
Yes,
maybe
you can
so
see that. You can see that in this face here. This is a perfect Rawlings catcher's mitt from living in Florida and no sleep.
That's so some long, not just 30 years. It's more than that, really. I mean, the amount of work and heart and elbow grease you put into it. That's amazing.
certainly did not take the
Thank
easy
you.
way out. That's for sure.
No, it's
Smile.
there's an easy way and then there's the right way, and the right way is usually a little bit harder and longer to get to, but um, definitely worth it and fulfilling in the front. And it's afforded me so many things and concerts and for my children and for myself, and there's just so many things that it's overwhelming to think of what I did in 30 years.
Yeah. Well, I'm a
You
huge
put it
like
all together and it's staggering.
yeah, I love that. And I'm a huge live music fan. So what was one of the best concerts you had the ability to see through that position?
Oh man, probably Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd I seen twice there, one at the old stadium with this exploding pig, and that was pretty
So cool.
special. U2 I've seen 4 or 5 times. The Rolling Stones I've seen 4 or 5 times. Um, I've seen a Billy Graham Baptist crusade, a 3-day weekend Baptist crusade that happened through there.
Very
Um,
cool.
so many cool shows, but I'd have to say Pink Floyd was probably one of the coolest shows.
Like
My dad has
94-ish?
a sorry, Chris, you go.
Was that like 1994-ish?
1994.
Saw that
Yeah.
tour. It was pretty mind
You
blowing.
know, the exploding pig, it went over the
Oh yeah.
stadium, and
I saw it at
oh man, it was something else.
Cleveland Municipal Stadium, and that used to be a gigantic stadium, 70 some thousand. So then you take that in the stands plus the people on the field. I can't imagine. It must have been 85,000 people there. It was insane.
Wild.
Yeah, no,
For old.
I was still quite the young man working, and the groundskeeper doesn't have much of a role during a concert, so they had us there as support for other things, bike racks and ropes and whatever, hauling trash, whatever it was at the time. Um, and I found myself in a predicament in a place I probably shouldn't have been at work right about that time. I'd run into friends that got concerts. One thing leads to another, and next thing, yeah,
Reading Taco
it was,
Bell at 2 a.m.
yeah, that was one of those days. And that was one of the things that I used to do, and my wife didn't understand it, but after all the concerts, when a place comes into your concert, everybody's very careful. They don't want to mess up your grass, and they're very careful about what they do. But when they move out of your stadium, they're very fast. They got to get out of there. They're gonna be gone the next day. That's when the damage happens.
Yeah.
So for every show for 30 years, when the show was over at 11 o'clock at night, because we had to be over at 11 because of city ordinances, that's where I would get my overtime. Is I would stay overnight for the move out of the stage, protecting the turf.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, for 30 years, I got to watch the move out. It takes 4 days to build a concert stage and get it all up. And within 16 hours, they are usually gone. Every truck, every speaker, every cord is gone.
Insane.
So that was a while to watch that happen. I can't tell you how many times.
Did you ever get the feeling after they loaded out and they were gone, and then you look at your field and think, I'm never going to get this back to where it needs to be?
Every time.
Every time.
Every time I looked at, like, how am I going to make this happen? How am I going to bring this back to life? And that's how I found out the resiliency really of the Bermuda grass down south, and how and what you could really do to it, and how it performed after that. So um, watching what it did after concerts, I found that I could really, non-concert years, I could really, abuse that grass in the summertime. I used to call it, building character, but scalp it, beat it, try to go without water for days on end to try to, create a healthier root system. And so, yeah, concerts, as much as I hated them, I had a love for them, and they taught me a lot about grass.
That's an interesting perspective. That's not what I would have expected you to say. So
Hmm. In my I had to share with you guys, my dad has a t-shirt that he wears all the time that says I might be old, but I got to see all the cool bands live. So I think you both need one of those. Because I
I
wasn't
definitely
gonna
need one.
say it, but now I have to say it. I wasn't even alive in 1994.
Wait, what do you mean we both need that t-shirt?
Oh my gosh.
You just referenced the same concert that he was talking
Well,
about.
it was awesome, okay?
Chris watched it on YouTube.
Oh,
Yeah, that's right.
geez.
Yeah, I streamed it.
Yeah. You guys might see one of those shirts for Christmas this year or something.
If I had the shirt, I lost it. I would love a new.
Awesome. I'd love it. I'd wear it with pride.
Well, and speaking of clothing attire, one of the greatest things that Wayne has brought to the Pioneer Athletics team is a certain uniform that others have adopted. We call them around here the Wayne Ward shirts. And
A little
you're
collection.
yes, the Wayne Ward collection. You're supporting one of the fall items right now. The fishing shirt, or I don't know what it would exactly be called, the adventure man shirt with the little Eddie Bauer and the Pioneer
Yeah,
Athletics logo.
this is actually part of the Wayne Ward summer collection. As white, if September's coming and we won't be able to wear white soon. So
Oh, true,
I'm getting one of
true.
my last few uses on it. It is a short sleeve, but
We need to like
yeah,
come out
no,
with a whole
I
branding campaign for
I
this.
nothing against the Pioneer blue. That's who we are, and I have it all the time.
You ever worry you're going to
I
stain
have a
that
few of
white?
them coming up, and I'm working with Doug and Chris to try to get them. Only when I'm eating buffalo wings.
That's great. Well, yeah, I think we need to have
But
like a Wayne Ward
there
day.
is a winter collection coming.
Ooh. Why do I
Very
feel like it's not a
nice.
northern winter thing though?
No. But there's got to be a fall one. There's got to be a fall collections coming out too. So I'll hit those up for you guys on maybe I'll do like a Doug Piersky thing and do a video out on Fridays.
Should do a runway show, honestly.
Yeah, set up a
I
runway in your
could,
backyard and do the whole
right?
collection. I love it.
Pop the hip when you turn.
But so yeah, you were born and raised in the Tampa Bay area, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you worked there for 30 years and now you are a resident of Georgia. So you made the big move after retiring. How has that played into, you said it's hard to drive by the stadium or be a season ticket holder. Did you guys have to get out of Tampa Bay so that you could have that, not only the physical distance, but like the separation so that I can imagine if you were still in the Tampa Bay area, you would be at the stadium all the time, consulting, or just having, some type of role in it. So was that physical distance intentional for you?
Yeah, going to school in Tallahassee, and I fell in love with South Georgia. I'm only 47 miles from Florida in South Georgia, so I'm really in North Florida, if you will.
Yeah.
But I fell in love with this area and with the new position and that racing, and I felt that this would be a central location to getting to all the tracks in the South, a little bit, and I needed a break from Tampa and that area, and a lot of people have moved down there and kind of made it a little more crowded than I'd like it to be, or the place that I grew up. So um, we just fell in love with this area up here. We needed a little bit of slow down, and it's hard to slow down in the fast lane. So I
Yeah.
wasn't looking for the screeching halt we found here in South Georgia, but I'm we have adjusted well to it, and and living here and the slowdown buys us some time. It allows us to spend a lot of that time that we didn't spend together before, because my wife had always worked in the office as well, so we both worked from home. So we went from me working 70 hours and seeing each other about 8 hours a week to 24/7 for the last 2 years. So it's been I joke about it, but it has been a magical thing for us. It's brought us back to our our wonder years. We really enjoy each other's company, and we're best friends.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's amazing. You guys should do like a class on how to have a healthy marriage. The key being out of the house for 70 hours a week. And then coming back once you're able to. But that really is beautiful, and I'm sure it is such an element of it. Um Anytime you miss the gig or something like that, being able to look back and you guys now have this new chapter that's just as exciting and fulfilling.
Awesome. We're so happy about it, and it would be funny to have a cast because there would be the good times and the bad times. You know, I used to say that to people all the time, like, "How do you guys been together so long?" I said, "Extended time apart." Um, and now if we're apart for any bit of a time, it's you know, I mean, we definitely miss each other, and so excited. We just found out we have grandbaby number 5 and 6 on the way.
Wow.
So,
Twins?
well, no, our twins, which we have fraternal twins, boy and girl,
Yep.
they respectively separately got pregnant 5 days apart as their due date. So
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
yes, it is. We're super excited, and my son actually married a twin, so we were really thinking that they had chances of having it, but both of them are just having single babies, which is just fine with us. And my wife came running in with this, revelation that she never thought she'd have to say she needed double strollers again.
Oh my gosh,
And she
that's
will need double
amazing.
strollers again. I thought I'd never have to buy a double stroller again, and here we are. So,
Well, that's amazing. I've done extensive research on double strollers, so I will send you a link to the best one on the market. I swear by this double stroller. It's literally the best thing in the world. So,
please do
and it's on
that.
sale right now. I actually just looked yesterday because I sent it to somebody else. So you guys will have to get it. It's Amazon. It will deliver it. So you'll be prepared grandparents.
Well, we're hoping to start a GoFundMe for retired grandparents. So if you guys want to start a little list and start things that you could just want to send that you think a needy grandfather would need, please feel free.
Amazing. Well, congratulations. That's so cool. My parents, they're in a similar phase of life. I think they're also getting number 6 here in a few weeks, and then they'll have number 7 shortly after that. So, not me, not me, not me.
No.
This is a
Chris.
weird place to be telling people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, not me, not right now. I've got to I've got to get through Palm Springs, and then I'll
Oh, stop
then I'll
there.
have
Just
another
stop there.
one.
Just stop there.
Chris hates when I talk about it.
She
Palm
overshares.
Springs, I can't wait. That's exciting.
It is good
The
stuff.
SFMA is always a great place. That's always a great place to catch up with, people that you've met throughout your career, even if you've lost touch with them, or guys that's worked for you in the past. And it's a great place to run into people and do all that.
Well,
Me
and
personally,
certain
it's a great time.
Well, and
Go
certainly
ahead.
as like an outsider, someone who's, I'm not a groundskeeper, but going to that event, I can see all the elements of this industry that work, like all the pillars that keep people in this industry. You just see that camaraderie, the networking, the mentorship, the desire to learn, like all the things that make us, successful in this industry are on display during that week. So I always have a great time witnessing all of that.
Yeah, all of that even happens just in the Pioneer booth when you're working with Chris and Sean and them trying to get that thing built and put together and moved across places and find where what goes into putting on some of those shows is just it's mind-boggling, and I hope the people that go appreciate what goes into making it such a special event.
Definitely. Well, it's Chris's favorite time of the entire year. He loves getting everything, prepped to send out to wherever location we're at. He loves getting to the show early and having to set up the booth, and then, long hours during the trade show days. And then he just gets to take it all down. And then it comes back here, and he loves taking it apart and putting it back where it needs to be. He talks about it all the time.
He sings the whole time he does it.
Oh, Meg.
I think we need to hire someone for the marketing team just for
Right.
that job specifically.
Yeah, we had a much smaller team when we started doing that. So
It will add 10 years onto Chris's life if we do that. So I think that's a good sell to Doug. Hey, if you want to have a longevity here with Chris, we need to hire someone to do that part.
or if you don't, have them keep doing it.
Yeah, true.
I don't know what he's thinking.
Oh, jeez.
It is
So
a good
Wayne,
event, though. It is a really good event for networking and learning, and for people who are new to the industry to really be taken in, by others who they may be timid to talk to begin with.
definitely.
It's
Well,
different from a lot of industries.
you're right. It just has like that culture where the students are ingrained to the entire event to where they could go up to an industry veteran of 30 years and ask questions. Or they're, alongside them at the networking events or what have you. It just is so reflective of that culture within the industry of that mentorship and bringing the next generation up the best way possible.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. There's been so many kids that come through that place and, going on to bigger, better things. And it's awesome to watch because I've been able to watch this whole thing grow into what it is today. And to see these kids actually want to be a part of it and, actually, seek it out means that there's been some kind of, good things come of the whole thing.
Definitely. And so my last question for you is, now that you're on this side of the industry, what were some of those anxieties that you might have had about switching sides or being on the corporate side that you've been happy to find don't exist? Help relieve the stress or anxiety of others who may be looking to make that switch.
I was kind of afraid how my even just in the NFL circle, forget about the groundskeeping, but in the small circle of that,
Hmm.
of whether, these guys thought, oh, this guy's gonna work with Pioneer, now he's the salesman, he's not gonna know. But I've been pleasantly surprised that people are more welcoming to that and understanding of that and appreciate having somebody on staff there that knows where they're coming from and and
Hmm.
and knows what they're talking about. I've heard that a couple of times. Man, it's so good to call somebody and go through a scenario and you understand exactly what I'm talking about from front to beginning. So that part of it's been really cool. I thought people would, oh my God, you're a salesman, you're a sales guy, you know what I mean?
Yep.
That you're going to change or you're going to be calling and doing, know, telling me, why did your field look like crap last night? Or why are you using this kind of paint? And um, it's not that way at all. I think they appreciate somebody that's been there and done that with them as a source of somebody on this side of the fence for them. Hey, what do we need? What else can we do to make your guys' job easier? How can we make you star in your role?
Look at that. Dropping that in there. Employee of the month right there. But no, that is a great point of view, and I do think I've heard that before that anxiety over just not being ingrained in the culture anymore or what have you. But if you found that you still have some of that camaraderie, that culture, that mentorship even on this side of the industry?
Oh, 100%, 100%. And it allows me, before I didn't, not that I needed a reason to call anybody up, but you know what I mean? I find myself reaching out more, probably because I have a little bit more time on my hands than the 70 hours a week. But no, I find myself reaching out and talking more and talking shop with more people about a lot of different areas other than, what I was mainly focused on all the time, which was grass.
Yeah. Chris, do you have any lingering questions for Wayne before we turn him loose?
I don't. I've enjoyed my time with Wayne here, and I just don't want to ruin it with another stupid question.
Thank you, Chris.
Well, Wayne, we'll be excited to see you here at the end of October, supporting the Wayne Ward collection, the fall edition. We'll all be waiting to see what new innovations you come up with.
All right, definitely. And I'll get you guys sizes and make sure you're outfitted for the fall.
We need it. We need it.
Nice.
We haven't been included in the Cool Kids Club yet. It's really just who is it? It's like James, Lavity, and Doug are, the main supporters for sure.
Right. And then I've got Shelly and Allison sporting the collection as
Yes,
well.
I have seen Shelly wear the Wayne Ward collection. That's brilliant.
I got to get a few more out there, but we'll make some adjustments and get everybody out there.
I'll put it on social media. I'll do like an influencer partnership if you want. And then it could really blow up. You could throw this gig to the side. Forget this. You could just be selling Pioneer shirts.
And I still wouldn't be able to get all the guys to wear the right color shirt for our picture on at the end of the year. Somebody would wear a black one.
True that. True that. That's a bigger fish to fry for some other time. Well, thank you, Wayne. I really appreciate the time and looking forward to seeing you here soon in a few months.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
See you,
Bye-bye.
Wayne.
Take care. Bye-bye, Chris. Bye-bye, Meg.